Morning and welcome to Top Tips Tuesday. I'm Pip and I'm one of the pastors here at Chelmsford Vineyard. So here's some of the new accessories that we're having to learn to use all the time, everywhere we go. There's some of those ones. I've got some of these, some that my mum made for me that look a little bit more pretty. But we're having to get used to using these things, aren't we, whenever we're in crowded places. And I don't know about you, but it all feels quite strange, I think. The other week, just after it had become mandatory to wear them in particular places, I was doing some food shopping in a local supermarket. And, you know, I donned mine on and I was in the shop and just for a moment, it just almost took my breath away a little bit. I was just felt quite emotional at one point as I watched everybody walking around the store with their different face coverings on, because it just, even though we've been doing this thing now for a long time and this thing has been around for months, it's still not normal. It's still very unusual and feels very strange and very alien. It just still doesn't sit right with us, and part of that is because we were born to connect with God and with each other, and so the whole kind of social distancing thing that we have been doing, and rightly so, we have to do it to protect ourselves and others, but it grates against everything that we were designed to be, that we were designed to connect. And here we are having to do things that move us away from that. So it just feels strange, and there's this strange tension that we carry with us during this time. And it's the same for everybody that's experiencing the world over. But I think it's right that we acknowledge the strangeness and that tension that we carry. And yet the other weekend, we had two things that happened that weekend, and they were both lovely, but they both made me kind of really reflect on this. So on the one hand, my parents, who have been shielding the whole time and are now not, but are still kind of tentatively and wary and recognising that they're still at risk. But we invited them over one Sunday afternoon, and we met in the garden and we put the gazebo up and we fed them. We had a lovely paella and strawberries and cream, and it was really lovely. And but at the same time, it wasn't lovely. And my mum said to me something like, it's lovely, but it's not. And it's because we still had to keep our distance and still couldn't do that kind of hugging that you just ordinarily want to do. Because you're trying to protect each other. So it's that bittersweet thing of meeting people. You know, some of the lockdown measures are being eased, and so we can meet in different ways in different people's gardens and outside spaces, a limited number of people. But there's still that tension. It's still that bittersweet thing of, it's lovely to see people in the flesh, but it's still not right. I mean, I cannot wait for the day when I can get to hug some of my favourite people. Bearing in mind that lots of my favourite people live in our house. But I mean, my other favourite people, my friends and other family members that we cannot hug. And I cannot wait for the day when we can, when we don't have to think about the things that we're having to think about at the moment. So the other thing that happened that weekend was we had a small group social on another day, and that was lovely. Some of us, not all of us, because of numbers wouldn't permit, but we were kind of doing different things at that time. So those of us that could meet, we met in Josh and Hayley's garden, and we had breakfast together, bacon and sausage kind of roll, cup of tea, that kind of thing. and we took our own garden chairs and all that kind of thing. So we were careful, we were doing what we needed to do, but it was really, really lovely just to see everybody in the flesh and not just on a screen. And actually some of these beautiful flowers were given to me on that day, which was just wonderful, a lovely surprise. But it was really, really lovely just to see people, just to hang out. You know, we laughed a lot, we ate well, and it was just a real tonic just to see each other. So I just really want to encourage you to keep connecting with each other. You know, at the moment we're in a stage where we can do that. Again, there are still limitations, but we can connect with each other. So I just want to encourage you to do that in the flesh, to be creative about it, be inventive about it, be as spontaneous as you can. But I know you have to plan things because of the restrictions in place. But just to step into that, and if you're feeling slightly hesitant about doing that, just to encourage you to do it, to take some of those steps and to connect with each other. I'm reminded of the passage in Hebrews chapter 10, verses 23 to 25, where it says this: "Let us hold unswervingly to the hope we profess, for he who promised is faithful." You know, God is with us during this time. It's a weird old time, but God is with us. "And let us consider how we may spur one another on towards love and good deeds, not giving up meeting together as some are in the habit of doing, but encouraging one another, and all the more as you see the day approaching." So just to encourage us, to encourage each other, to connect with each other, to, you know, pick up the phone to say, "Do you fancy going out for a picnic? And I'll bring my picnic, you bring your picnic, but let's go and hang out at the park for an hour or so." Just to encourage you to connect with each other and encourage each other. We're in this thing together with our Lord Jesus. He is the person that connects us and binds us together as family. And, you know, I was just thinking the kind of disconnect and that bittersweet feeling that we feel. Everybody else is feeling it too, but we have the privilege of knowing Jesus at the same time and having the hope that Jesus offers us. So let's offer that to people in our street. Let's connect with others, you know, in church and outside of church. Let's do this thing called community and connect with each other, and let's encourage each other along the way. Thanks.